Remember, all you needed was a Wayne verse? Don't hear the Wayne verse so much.
I don't know what's real and what's not at this point. If I ever need a ghostwriter, I need to just fucking put the mic down.
This is broken. Our whole culture is broken.
Got a couple of mentions, still I don't have any manners. You got a couple of ghostwriters, but to these kids it don't actually matter.
Listen up, everyone. This might be one of the most startling revelations you'll hear this year about a figure who has dominated headlines, playlists, and social feeds for over a decade. We're about to dive deep into the labyrinth of Drake ghostwriting rumors, dissect the OVO sweatshop chatter, and uncover why these ongoing allegations keep evolving. From early controversies alongside Meek Mill and Quentin Miller to recent whispers involving AI-generated vocals, each chapter of this saga is more surprising than the last. Buckle up, because by the end of this story, you might never look at Drake's biggest tracks the same way again. Right from the start, Drake stood out for merging multiple styles, R&B confessions, pop hooks, and hip-hop bars, into a brand that skyrocketed him to global superstardom. Yet this same crossover flair blurred the line between collaboration and reliance on uncredited writers. Ever since Meek Mill thrust Quentin Miller's name into the spotlight, Drake's reputation for writing his own rhymes has never really recovered. Meek's now infamous posts revealed that some tracks from "If You're Reading This, It's Too Late" might have come from someone else's pen. This was a watershed moment for hip-hop purists who champion lyrical authenticity. The fallout triggered countless discussions among fans. Some believed Drake's artistry outweighed the allegations, while others felt betrayed by a rapper with a ghostwriter. One of the biggest statements from that era comes straight from Kendrick Lamar, who rapped, "I could dig rapping, but a rapper with a ghostwriter, what the F happened?" A line that felt prophetic when Drake's ghostwriting controversies finally emerged in full force. Kendrick's subtle jabs and Drake's responses gave us some of the most captivating subliminal showdowns in modern rap. But what many didn't realize was how the friction surrounding uncredited writing would escalate year after year, culminating in even more puzzling leaks and rumors. Before we tackle the jaw-dropping new developments, let's categorize Drake's music. He tends to create 4 distinct types of tracks: pop anthems like One Dance and Controlla, R&B ballads such as Marvin's Room or Shot for Me, club bangers exemplified by Nonstop or Energy, timestamp tracks, the personal, lyrically dense tunes titled after specific moments and places, 5 a.m. in Toronto, 4 p.m. in Calabasas, 7 a.m. on Bridle Path, and so on. Within the pop realm, it's common knowledge that mainstream stars, think Rihanna or Katy Perry, often collaborate with dedicated songwriters. Drake's approach isn't unusual here. Party-friendly hits sometimes come from behind-the-scenes talent. The R&B space is similarly co-written at times, though fans expect genuine emotional outpouring when an artist delivers introspective tunes. But it's the hip-hop bangers, and especially the timestamp records, that intensify the debate. Fans view timestamp tracks as Drake's rawest, most personal glimpses, moments where he addresses real-life drama, internal reflections, and career crossfire. The notion that these revealing, introspective anthems could be meticulously ghost-written rattles people who believe these songs represent Drake's truest self. Drake's 2015 project, If You're Reading This, It's Too Late, was a sonic curveball. It felt aggressive, crisp, and jam-packed with high-energy bangers. Yet, once reference tracks attributed to Quentin Miller surfaced, a storm of questions followed. Tracks like Energy, 10 Bands, Know Yourself, and No Tellin' were suddenly under a microscope, with Miller's demo versions circulating online. Those demos had Miller delivering not just rough outlines, but nearly identical flows, hooks, and verses. Critics argued this went far beyond collaboration or guidance. The initial shock came from fans who couldn't believe the artist behind this mixtape, a project full of headstrong braggadocio, had relied on a writer behind the curtain. Even more unfortunate was Quentin Miller's fallout from all this. Rather than catapulting him to success, the exposure made him a polarizing figure, and doors that might have opened stayed firmly shut. Some hold Drake responsible for how Miller's career progressed, suggesting he never got the full credit or platform he deserved. Now, let's address the persistent phrase used across the internet, the OVO sweatshop. It refers to the idea that Drake allegedly employs a roster of unknown scribes who craft and refine lyrics, hooks, and harmonies, often handing over fully formed songs for Drake to record. Critics insist this is no run-of-the-mill collaboration, rather a situation where potential co-creators are sidelined in favor of Drake's brand. Artists like PartyNextDoor and The Weeknd have also been linked to these rumors. The Weeknd contributed heavily to Take Care, Many fans claim some of Drake's most emotional R&B cuts came from The Weeknd's own creative reserve. Later, The Weeknd said he was relieved he never contractually tied himself to OVO, implying he'd have remained a ghostwriter rather than the star he is today. Party Next Door has penned multiple tracks that Drake performed nearly note for note. Countless behind-the-scenes stories suggest that whenever someone in the OVO camp crafts a hit, Drake might be first in line to claim it, leaving limited space for the writer to flourish independently. It's a murky scenario. Is Drake's dynamic truly exploitative? Or is it just the standard co-writing approach that has always existed in pop and R&B? Skeptics say it crosses a line whenever the writing is done entirely by others who receive minimal public recognition. And the more these reference tracks leak, the harder it becomes to ignore the pattern. One of Drake's more notable tracks, Mob Ties, became a talking point for critics. Released on Scorpion, the tune was a statement on Drake's state of mind after major run-ins with Pusha T. Despite branding it as a direct reflection on personal feuds and alliances, rumors emerged that an artist named Vori had recorded an almost identical demo, complete with the same melody, the same structure, and practically the same lyrics. This intensified outrage because Mob Ties felt so pointed. It referenced family allegiances, the shutting down of certain beefs, and deep-seated frustrations that Drake seemed to be letting off his chest. If an uncredited contributor had laid down those bars beforehand, many wondered, do these personal confessions really come from Drake, or are they a borrowed persona carefully curated for mass appeal? For some fans, Drake's post-beef swagger had lost its credibility. Yet, ironically, the revelations did little to dent his commercial performance. Mob Ties still charted, clubs continued playing it, and casual listeners didn't seem to mind. Meanwhile, in die-hard rap circles, the conversation about ghostwriting and authenticity flared all over again. The discussion took an even wilder turn with the track Push-Ups. Shortly before it hit official streaming platforms, a mysterious, unfinished version popped up online. That demo sounded robotic and unpolished, and some speculated it might have been an AI-generated vocal file. The theory? Possibly someone wrote the track, fed Drake's voice into an AI tool, and created a ghostly reference track that Drake later re-recorded more convincingly. Glasses. Malone, a figure tied to music circles and rumored to have strong industry connections, asserted that a writer could have sent Drake an AI-powered mock-up. The logic? If Drake must hide that a third party is crafting his diss or hype records, an AI version might cover the tracks. According to this line of reasoning, the reference track arrives sounding like Drake's own tone and flow, yet it's just a blueprint from an outside pen. This is beyond typical ghostwriting. It's futuristic, stealthy, and leaves minimal paper trails. If that's true, we're witnessing a brand new level of behind-the-curtain collaboration. It also complicates the debate over authorship in the digital era. Listeners can't easily confirm if Drake actually wrote these lines or if an AI version, courtesy of a hidden writer, paved the way. So far, we've seen alleged ghostwriters for bangers, pop anthems, and tearful R&B tunes. But the final frontier? Those timestamp cuts that symbolize Drake's most intimate vantage point, tracks like 5 a.m. in Toronto, 4 p.m. in Calabasas, and 7 a.m. on Bridle Path. For a long stretch, fans clung to the hope that these were untouchable. No references, no borrowed lines, just Drake's genuine thoughts. That made sense because these tracks are typically peppered with hyper-personal jabs, inside jokes about ongoing conflicts, and nods to Drake's real-life circle. How could a hired songwriter replicate the exact details of Drake's everyday experiences? However, recent social media leaks suggest that even a staple like 5 a.m. in Toronto might have a reference version floating around. Onlookers are torn. Does this prove Drake's ghostwriting extends to every corner of his catalog? Or is this simply a hoax from someone recording the lyrics on cheap equipment to pass it off as the original? Without proper metadata or a credible source, it's impossible to say for sure. But the very fact that fans can believe it is telling. It reflects how severely Drake's writing credibility has been shaken. Why does any of this matter? After all, Drake maintains massive commercial success, floods the charts with each release, and sells out stadiums. Aren't co-writers and secret contributors just part of the music machine? Yes and no. In hip-hop particularly, authenticity is prized. Artists revered as great MCs typically pen their own lines to reflect their personal struggles, triumphs, and philosophies. To rely on hidden collaborators erodes that foundation, especially for fans who grew up equating rap with storytelling from one's own pen. Drake's situation is unique because he transcends standard rap boundaries. He's a pop superstar, R&B crooner, and rap hitmaker all in one. In pop and R&B, extensive co-writing is widespread and usually doesn't damage an artist's standing. In hip-hop, any sign of uncredited help stirs controversy. Drake's identity leans heavily into rap's "I'm the best" tradition, so the ghostwriting subject continues to spark heated debates. Still, the new wave of AI speculations pushes us into uncharted territory. If references can be laid down with Drake's voice from the start, it raises the question, how many of Drake's future or even past releases might have followed a similar path? Did earlier controversies only scratch the surface? Each new rumor or leaked reference track reignites the discussion. Fans scramble to defend Drake, citing that he often collaborates and has also penned hits for others. Skeptics highlight specific lines and subtle studio accounts, claiming they point to a bigger pattern of uncredited involvement. Meanwhile, Drake continues his upward trajectory, enjoying streams and accolades few can rival. Ultimately, the tension boils down to whether Drake wants to be perceived as a rap luminary in the vein of Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole, or Eminem, artists widely believed to write the entirety of their lyrics, or if he's content being labeled a multi-genre superstar whose creative process inherently involves an entire squad of writers. The repeated references to OVO sweatshops might exaggerate the reality, but every fresh wave of leaked demos and rumored AI-driven reference tracks leads more and more listeners to question the authenticity behind his biggest hits. And let's be honest, if someone truly can craft a track around Drake's personal turmoil, down to the smallest barbed line about his rivals, maybe the OVO sweatshop is even more intricate than we realize. Perhaps a rolling team of writers meticulously studies Drake's life, seamlessly weaving his day-to-day experiences into melodic, radio-friendly singles. Or maybe it's simpler. Drake tosses out ideas, collaborators add finishing touches, and the final product is labeled as Drake's own. The truth lies somewhere in the middle, but the rumors refuse to die. As fans, critics, and casual observers, we're left on the edge of our seats. Are new leaks around the corner? Will a confirmed reference track for 5 a.m. in Toronto officially surface, debunking Drake's last bastion of pure lyricism? How will the industry handle the rise of AI if entire hits can be conceptualized, written, performed as Drake, and then simply re-recorded? Will these controversies ever halt Drake's unstoppable momentum? His past controversies have not hindered his star power. He has navigated them deftly, dropping chart-topping releases in the aftermath of each uproar. Yet, for longtime listeners who admired the raw grit of his time-stamped joints, these ghostwriting allegations are tough to swallow. The cultural conversation remains fixated on this divide. Is Drake's brand of artistry beyond reproach, or is it just another example of commercial music's behind-the-scenes assembly line? Only time will tell how Drake's legacy will be permanently shaped by this recurring debate. One thing is certain. Every reference track leak, every unconfirmed rumor, and every hush-hush hint from industry insiders continue to fuel curiosity. As new layers unfold, from Quentin Miller's heartbreak to the AI theories swirling around push-ups, the line between Drake's authentic pen and external influences grows blurrier. And in a world where entire tracks can be forged by artificial intelligence, the concept of writing your own story has never been more complicated or more intriguing. So keep your eyes peeled for what's next. Leaks can appear overnight, cryptic tweets might signal another round of discoveries. Maybe an ex-writer steps forward with receipts, or perhaps Drake issues a direct statement clarifying these claims, though history suggests otherwise. Either way, these Drake ghostwriting rumors stand as one of music's most riveting ongoing sagas, constantly evolving with each new leak and each new question about authenticity. And whether you consider it a minor footnote in mainstream pop or a major strike against hip-hop integrity, the discussion isn't disappearing anytime soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. You are the reason this conversation stays alive and compelling.